Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our next episode of Dead Men Plays. In our Bat-centric marathon leading up to the man who watched Batman, we're going to do our second episode of our series, The Man Who Played Batman, which is what I've just decided just now we're going to call this marathon of games. So, in our episode 2 of The Man Who Played Batman, we're doing a first look at the 1989 Batman for the NES, created by Sunsoft and known today as probably one of the hardest Batman games ever made. Actually, one of the hardest games in the NES for a lot of people. It's not like Battletoads hard, but it's pretty hard. I can't say I'm too good at it, but I have a lot of fun with it. I think we've got everything here queued up and ready to go. Technically, this is based on the '89 film, but like a lot of other licensed products at the time, didn't really do too much of a tie-in. But I do like, it's kind of interesting to see the likeness of Jack Nicholson portrayed in the 8-bit style. I really do like the photo-ish kind of look they give. A lot of stuff like that. Also, for those guys who are curious about my Batman-ness, behind me is my posters for The Dark Knight Returns Part 2, and Arkham City is my Harley Quinn poster. Even have these Batman and Harley action figures my brother got me for Christmas a ways back. And I kid you not, on my top shelf, I have to put it really close so you can see it, but I kid you not, I have a laughing fish. Can't make that crap up. Anyways, like I said before, the series is going to be made in conjunction with my new releasing book, The Man Who Watched Batman Volume 1, whose main cover you can see on this side of the screen, if you'd like to take a look at it out. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But for the first point here, we're going to be talking about the game a little bit, then we're going to talk about the movie a little bit, and we're just going to have a jolly old good time. So, hope you enjoy. So the first thing you're probably wondering with this game is, why the heck is Batman purple? I wish I had an answer for that, other than they probably just didn't want to keep him black. So they apparently thought purple would be a color that would stand out next to best. And it is... I don't mind it too much, but I also kind of wish they would have made him blue, considering that not only is blue a color that Batman is quite frequently, but also because of the fact that blue actually has the largest color spectrum on the NES, which is the reason that Mega Man is blue, because it has the most multiple colors. I'm not going to tell you guys I'm particularly good at this game. I do alright. I practiced a little bit. But, basically, you saw those little missile things that picked up, and you have a variety of weapons you can use. The joke that Screw Attack always makes is that the punch is literally just called Batman, because it's your standard. But we're going to keep moving on here. I think the farthest I've gotten in this is about level 4. And everyone says this game doesn't really do too much Batman things, but there's actually a boss battle with Comic Book Bill and Firefly at the end of level 4, which I think is kind of cool. And it seems a little easy so far, but trust me, it ain't gonna stay that way. Got a little bit of the wall climbing mechanic from the original Ninja Gaidens, which is kind of cool to see. This is what this game gets compared to a lot, is it gets compared a lot to like old school Ninja Gaiden, not just because it's super hard, but because of a lot of the mechanics that they use in this game. Although, I just really like the idea that there's, I'm not using too many of them now because of the fact that ammo can be quite sparse as this game goes on. You've got your variety of different weapons, and technically they all use the same ammo, but some use more ammo than others. Speaking of guys, you might want to use a weapon on. Now the boomerang ones are probably your best bet overall, because as long as they don't hit anybody, they come back and they don't take up ammo. Which I think is kind of an interesting mechanic. Oh, I'm gonna die. And apparently you burst into flames when you die in this game. And as an old school NES game, as you'll notice when I get to game over, this game sends you all the way back when you die, lose all of your lives. Which is never a good feeling, let me tell you. But I like the fact that there's these little alternative paths, like, instead of taking those guys on, how you can actually use the trick shot and get all the way up here by using the wall jumps if you can do it correctly. It's a nice little incentive to the game gives you to actually be better at it. Now moving on, I think this even looks like graphically impressive for the NES. Like, they've actually got like working cape movement on an NES game, and I don't know many other games that do that. And I can't say this is my favorite Batman game, but for sure of the old school ones, this is my favorite. Even though this game, because there's a couple of good ones here and there, but not many that really stand out when all's said and done. Oh, this guy just won't die. Oh, here we go. Ah, man, those guys are gonna get me so bad. Like I said, I didn't claim to be good at this game. I'm not. But at the same point, I don't. I'm gonna say out of pride, not out of laziness, we're not doing save states today. We're just gonna try our best to keep the content interesting enough for, in order to keep this interesting all the way through. At least that's what we're aiming for. But luckily, we can get pretty much up to those guys without wasting too much health, so that's a plus. See, when I first played this game, I didn't even know you could kill these guys. And so I was like trick jumping over all of them, which is a really annoying endeavor. And it's also kind of interesting that this game does not allow you to kind of push through the, use like invincibility frames or anything to like push through the pain on harder enemies. Like, they really do force you to do it the right way. Now, technically, some people complain that Batman's kind of using a gun there, but I like to think that's some sort of a taser or a beanbag gun or something non-lethal. I can't imagine that Sunsoft would have been that stupid, but... Because technically, there's two of these that are guns. Well, kind of. There's one of them that's gun, one of them's like crazy out there shuriken shots or something weird. Man, that's gonna get us every time, isn't it? Now, technically, with the continue, it still brings us to room 2, because you do have limited continues. But, like I said, when you're not at continues, though, you are all the way back to the beginning, and there's few things more annoying than when you have that moment you go all the way back. It feels pretty solid, as far as NES games go. We're playing in an emulated copy here, and surprisingly, I'm actually doing this through the XSplit program. And I'm not looking at the direct screen, I'm actually looking at the XSplit version. And surprisingly not finding any game lag. Alright, now we're going to take out the big gun and see if we can take this guy out. Where is he at? There's no real, like, good way to get out of the way of stuff. That's like the main thing that always cripples me in this game. is the lack of evasive options. Because trust me, I do want to play this game for you guys, but at the same point, I can understand not wanting to see me fail on this exact same point again and again and again and again. So, we'll see what we can do about that. Let's see what else we can talk about here. But what about the movie? Maybe that'll... Some movie nerding will get us out of... Oh boy, I'm gonna die. Oh man, if I had decent health coming up there, I could have had him that time. Luckily, we're not too far in the game, so if I do have to go all the way back to the beginning, it only takes me about 2 minutes to get to where I'm at. For your guys' sake, I want to give you something a little more interesting to look at. So anyways, yeah, the 1989 movie obviously looks nothing like this game, but I still love it very much. Jack Nicholson kind of started the trend of having celebrity actors playing Batman villains. And I think that, well, actually, technically that trend was going on back in the 60s as well, where they would play, where major villains would play roles in movies like that, which, to be honest, if I had my way, I like the way that Batman movies would kind of be portrayed outside of universe. Like, cinematically, I actually think what would work better if they actually went with a little bit more of the, I think it sounds strange, a little bit more like James Bond movies. As weird as that sounds. I mean, I like the idea with James Bond movies, how there's, you know, it's like, it's considered like a big honor to be considered for a villain in one of those roles. And, I can kind of imagine that format where, you know, like, if you got one guy who's, like, solid enough to, like, people are like, okay, yeah, he's Batman. And then just make it a little bit more episodic, like, don't worry about getting super... I'm not saying get super creative with it, I'm just saying don't get swamped down in analytics and stuff like that. And just let them feel a little bit more serialized, to like have each episode feel more like an organic Batman versus the blank to blank, you know, Batman versus the Penguin, you know, with some special guest big actor playing the Penguin, and that's your draw. I think that'd be really interesting to see that, how that would work. But, you know, the 60s kind of started that, and then Jack Nicholson kind of went forward with that, with his portrayal of Jack Napier as the Joker. And I thought that origin, while radically different from the comic books, was not anything people should get so bent out of shape about. Especially the amount that people do get bent out of shape about it, I think is ridiculous. But alright, we got some decent health up here. Alright, anyway. So yeah, they took some liberties with the role, but I think that there's his role is actually a really good one in how it portrays the character and how he does kind of put his own staple on things. Up until that point, you know, Cesar Romero is the only other person who really actually had a feel of what the Joker should sound like, and I think that Hamill does still owe a lot of his inspiration for how Joker sounds. He still owes a lot of what the Joker sounds like to Jack Nicholson's performance. And I really do love the way he presents the role. Oh boy, here we go. So for those guys who don't know, this is actually not a generic villain. This is actually supposed to be the Batman villain Firefly, which is a guy who uses, is known for using, oh boy. Known for using, like, flamethrowers and jetpacks and the like in order to defeat Batman. Anyways, he's not used in many things. They recently used him in Arkham Origins, which I thought was kind of interesting. But in general, he's definitely one of the lesser used Batman villains. Technically, would be considered a B-tier villain. Usually I split it up into A, B, C, and D tier. You know, A tier being like main characters like Joker, Penguin, Two-Face, so on and so forth. You know, used as much as an extended canon as they are in original canon. While characters like oh, we're out of ammo. I gotta beat this guy with my fists. Oh joy. This isn't gonna end well. It didn't. What do you know? It didn't end well. Oh, I don't get any ammo back. Alright, he deflects if I punch him. That's good. So let's see what we can do to take him out here. It's just like a lot of NES villains, he does have a pattern to him, so it's not like it's completely unpredictable, but God knows I suck at these kind of games. Anyway, gonna keep talking here. So apparently stage 1-2 is kind of a checkpoint for us. It's not gonna be nice to us and let us get straight to Firefly. It's gonna make us do the whole thing. At least now we know we can get that way. Okay, anyways, so ups and downs of the 1989 Batman film. Thematically, it's one of the first times I think they really nailed a lot of things about the character of Batman. It's the first time someone had really given Batman a real theme song outside of ba-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. And while it pulled its inspiration, obviously, from like some of the previous darker interpretations, like The Dark Knight Returns and The Killing Joke, which was a major influence for Tim Burton, that I think that helped define, at the time, you know, Batman as being one of the more grown-up and more mature versions of the character Batman up until that point. Man, I'm just being stupid. So, that being said, for those of you guys who haven't seen it, I highly recommend it, especially with how good the Blu-ray copies of it look. I was very amazed at the job done in the remastering of those. In fact, the Batman anniversary, there's just so many good Batman things to go out and buy over the last year or so that have been released, including April 15th, release of The Man Who Watched Batman, step-by-step analysis. I'm just kidding. No more pitching. Well, technically not no more pitching, because this whole series is just one giant sales pitch, but for a sales pitch, I don't talk a lot about the book, mainly because I don't want to drown you guys in that. I'd rather talk about things related to what I'm playing. Yeah, the movie, for those guys who don't remember, follows Michael Keaton playing Batman in that version. We have no ammo, like none whatsoever. Oh joy, now there's two of them. That's killer. This is not turning out to be my best Let's Play. I'm still gonna post this no matter what. I just want to make sure that in the last, oh geez, the last 8 minutes before I probably cut this off, that I say some important things about the game or about the television series or the movie or something. Okay, so Michael Keaton plays Batman in the Tim Burton versions. I think I like the interesting about his characters, they really approach the introverted side of Batman, and they also approach kind of the legendary aspects of the character. The idea that, like, not only are we living in a universe where few people know even that Batman exists, but the people that do know he exists, you know, they don't even know what he is, let alone who he is. You know, it's like they say in the beginning of the movie, it's like some say he can't be killed, some say he drinks blood. You know, even farther in the movie when they find out that just a guy in Kevlar, in like the one scene they get lucky and they finally shoot him. You know, it's stuff like that that really makes the film iconic. And on top of that, you can't deny Elfman's score was so definitive in the way that we portray Batman today. Even the animated series still uses that Elfman theme, that dum-ba-dum-ba-dum. Except for they add the extra, they add an extra flurry to the theme. If that's the word I'm looking for, I think it is. Oh, I forgot. I gotta get to the bottom and defeat the ninja with 1 health. Oh, jeez. Are my punches not working all of a sudden? Losing all my health. What is going on? That's the strangest thing. Now I'm like out of health already. I might as well just die. I'm not gonna make it. Hello, Mr. Flamethrowers. Alright, let's try this again. So, thematically, I think that film works the best because of the fact of how they portray the myth of Batman. And like I said, also, they also show off the more introverted side of him. You know, he's the kind of guy who throws giant parties at his own mansion but doesn't really even attend. Like, it keeps alluring towards this controlling idea that it's actually Batman that is the one that is the true identity, and Bruce is the faked alter ego, to an extent. You know, it's like that scene when they're sitting at the table and he goes, you know, is this table really you? And he says, you know, some of this house is me, some of this house is very much not me. This table is definitely not me. And it's scenes like that that are actually really telling, and it feels more like something that reaches a degree of depths beyond what you'd normally see in just a comic book movie. And it does a lot to disassociate itself from that annotation, at least the negative side of that annotation, I would say. Because that's brought a lot of negative attention for a long time to films of its nature. Until Batman came along and changed that for the better. Because I'm sure Batman still had a lot of selling power, but like, keep in mind, I mean, it's still a larger gamble than people realize, all things considered. Comparing that, like, the last big public display of Batman, at least in live action, was in 1966. And this movie came out in 1989. So, like, there's still a lot of time discrepancy there, as far as where the popular versions of this character really lie. If I play my patience here, I think I can beat him. That seems to be working. Let's give that a shot. Until I run out of ammo, of course. Oh, I did it! We're actually gonna get to see some more levels. Maybe I'll let this Let's Play go a little bit longer. Level 2, here we come. Made ourselves into some sort of warehouse. Man, I love the aesthetics of these levels. And the music too, just listen to that a second. It's one of those games I really do wish I was better at this. Like, I love this game a lot, but I suck at it. And that can be a difficult thing to come to terms with every now and then. As you would imagine, green goop is bad. Green goop is bad. Okay. I don't know why I need to make that reference, but... Let's see. Now we get into a little bit more of the platforming angle, platforming sections of this game. And I'm not gonna say this level's easier or more or less difficult, but it's different for sure. It's changing up your mindset and how you're playing this. Yeah, other things about the movie. And as much as many people tend to not want to acknowledge it, I mean, Batman, the movie, the 1989 Batman movie is, like, the starting point of this entire comic book revelation that we've known for years. Ah, son of a... Can't get quite the inch close enough I needed to get him. All that to save ammo, and I wasted like 1 billion health. That's not productive at all. Ah, stuck. You know, there would be no Avengers. There'd be no anything, really, without that. Before that, all we really had was the Richard Donner Superman films. And even then, Superman was still at a point where he was almost above comic books. He was seen more as an American pop culture icon, more than he was viewed as a superhero. At the time, Batman was viewed as the largest that was still considered, in his marketing and in his portrayals, almost exclusively still just a superhero. Oh boy. We're gonna die. Oh, we're dead. We are so dead. At least just let us start from here. It's kind of like Castlevania in that way, where I think it does restart at the beginnings of those kind of checkpoints. So, moving on with the film, though, I also like the idea that, like I said, Danny Elfman's scores did a lot to define the sounds of things, which... I love the Waltz of Death at the very end of the movie, because of the fact that it's like one of the first songs they ever wrote that really, like, defined what the Joker sounds like. You know, sure, we all have the animated version later on. It was like, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-ba-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. But before we had that, we had da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I love that version a lot. Not only because of the fact that it's so good and it helped define the Joker, but I actually ended up using that song a ways back when I was in college in a short film, in a stage play that I directed. It was technically the longest production I ever ran. It's 45 minutes long. And it was a story of a guy who... It's this really strange story about a guy who's scared of everything. In particular, he's scared of clowns. And believes that he has a crackpot doctor, you know, kind of the snake oil kind of guy, you know, diagnose him with this strange fake disease called clown syndrome. Which means that if he ever laughs or is exposed to anything to do with clowns, then he'll die. He'll actually, like, seize up and die laughing from asphyxiation. And so it goes, like, surprisingly dark on purpose. Like, I told these actors, playing it 100% straight, mind you, to, like, portray this character who's actually, like, on the brink of suicide by smashing himself with a cream pie. if he, because of the fact that he can't imagine living life without laughter. And I gotta give it to Colin Royce, who's the guy that portrayed my main character in that, because he just absolutely sells it. Like, I told him, don't treat this movie like it's a comedy. I want you guys to really sell this thing as if it were like AAA Oscar-winning material, because how seriously you guys take this and like how ridiculous we're able to make this thing is the joke that kind of is going to link this entire thing together. And after that, what I used is there's a scene later on where he finds out that he has vampiric clown syndrome, which makes it so that if he's ever exposed to clowns or laughing, he'll actually transform into a clown werewolf style. So he's in a support group surrounded by people with clown syndrome, and in a moment where he decides to get over all of his fears and laugh off his problems, ends up killing everybody. And what we did is we actually used the song from the movie in a scene where we actually choreographed what can only be described as a waltz fight of him transforming into the clown, grabbing his daughter, dancing around the room, while all the other people in the clown syndrome are trying to kill him to save their lives. And all the while, he was just dancing around the room. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-ba-da-da. Holy cow, this is tough. I'm doing pretty good at this. Oh, I gotta stop saying that, because I'll start doing crap, but I'm actually amazed at how well I'm doing right now. Guess I gotta keep talking about other things and keep myself distracted, and I'll do okay. As long as I don't stop. Darn it! Darn! One more set. And then we're gonna call this. Okay. So actually that production is going to be uploaded onto the Dead Men Inc. site very soon. Now, I know some people have their complaints about the Batman '89 movie, you know, especially because of the fact of how the suit was designed. Michael Keaton couldn't actually move his neck. So a lot of the fight scenes are a little lackluster because of that, but luckily they fixed a lot of that in Batman Returns, where you finally actually get a chance to get a suit with a moving neck, and that's a big help to the choreography of that film. And the acting performances by Michelle Pfeiffer and Christopher Walken. A lot of people forget that. Christopher Walken played a Batman villain. Not an A-class villain, but a villain all the same. Oh boy. See, the tricky part with this is the fact that sometimes you gotta let the delay go a little bit, or else they'll keep jumping like that. Alright, we're low on health. Oh, man! So close. Hey, so those angles kind of tie the movie down a little bit, but just the creative nature of it. Like, Jack Nicholson being like one of the first actors to like really just let loose on what it means to be the Joker. And a lot of people complain about the fact that it feels like he's stealing his performance in that movie. But I actually think that's one of the most positive traits about the film in general, is how, you know, Joker's supposed to do that. Batman isn't supposed to like grab all of the attention. That's literally even Joker's main motivation in the movie, is the fact that Batman is stealing all of his press. You know, the best explanation I've come to know about the role is when Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic, reviewed it. He said that in Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's goal as the Joker is to spread anarchy and chaos. But Jack Nicholson is anarchy and chaos. It's the fact that you don't exactly know what Joker's doing or why he's doing it that makes him so compelling. Having Heath Ledger run around saying, I have no scheme, when he obviously has a scheme, like an anarchist is a boring villain. But a crazed mastermind who's going to poison the entire city of Gotham using nothing but makeup and, makeup and hot air balloons, by giving the entire town, floating Joker dollars. Like, that's awesome. Like, that's the thing that defines the Joker, is the Joker pulls off schemes that only the Joker could do. And that is what Nicholson did in his role. The problem with Heath Ledger, as awesome as he is, you could replace his entire character with that of just any generic terrorist without makeup and the facade and all that, and the movie would work almost exactly the same. Oh boy, I've got no health, and there's no way I'm gonna land. I don't even know what you're supposed to do in those situations. Anyway, that, for a large deal of, people, that's kind of the battle between Nicholson and Ledger has gone on for years and years. I like both characters, I really do. Like, even look, back of my phone, I got this from my roommate. It's Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger together, photoshopped in the same picture. And don't get me wrong, Hamill's always going to be my boy, and I have no problem admitting that, I can't write an entire book about Batman the Animated Series and not point out my good old pal Mark. There is actually a sequel to this game. We're probably going to play that too, called Return of the Joker. Which isn't quite as good as this one, but I also know it's not quite as hard as this one. And there's actually even some video games based off of Batman the Animated Series, which is going to be something we're going to play eventually here too. The only one I've played though is one for the Sega Genesis, which is crazy hard. But unfortunately, it's in more of a meat shield kind of way. We just couldn't quite make it. Well, we might come back to this one. I'm going to see if I can save a state on this one. Let's see if that save state worked. Yep, we got it. We got a working save state. What did I do? Huh. Alright, so anyways, yes, like I have said, just pulled my own card. Like I have said before, check it out. It's all backwards. Check it out over here. There's going to be more information posted down in the description below. The Man Who Watched Batman, Volume 1, an in-depth, step-by-step, episode-by-episode analysis of the first season of Batman the Animated Series, one of the greatest animated shows of all time. Until then, this has been Episode 2 of The Man Who Played Batman. Tune in tomorrow for my next Batman Let's Play, where we're going to be checking out a video game actually based on Batman the Animated Series. Which one will it be? I don't know yet. I haven't picked. Until next time, my name is Ken Johnson from Dead Men Inc. Productions. I will see you next time.